The students that come in that way, might as well.
You know, with the things.
Yeah.
And culture.
I don't want one of those catastrophic. You know, somebody has a camera pointed at it.
And they. After me, see those catastrophic.
There, and like it's not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, really. Yeah.
One just paid for loss.
I don't think it's- I don't know.
I mean, it's well, they got, when he was trying to. I'll say that.
I guess we got like, we're still having, we have some of the growing that cheap. We're trying to keep that from happening, but. Over them, this whole, this is.
What happened to it?
We got a statute.
No, it's,
That's down to you. You didn't have to be military spray. No, I'm sorry.
And then just, you know,
Yeah.
like, most around here,
Yeah.
you know.
I'll have it.
No,
some requirements, there are state requirements.
And then it's not
No.
that hour.
Just like you're gonna- Not sure what the protocol is of the shepherd and shoulder.
I had heard that there.
That's all, I think that's what it is. I think some people get it back. It's like.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, ours is.
I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I'll bring that a couple of years.
That's right.
I ain't trying to.
Maybe we do it differently, but you're trying to. Yeah, I mean, they work uniform. So they.
Oh, sure. I didn't hear that story.
They could plead.
And it's getting ready to get up.
But I think it's got to. So I
We
knew
used ours paying for the calls. And again, we would count
between
the
last
legs,
year and what.
two versus call, they count for the security.
Yeah.
So it gets started actually, we use on the first year.
Yeah.
And then I got support.
Yeah.
To the Lundy family, over, but with all. Kind of big burn.
Yeah.
Came out of there.
Yeah, well,
They don't, the state don't recognize. New member.
So
You've been through
The code here.
Reserve Academy has the same number of clock hours.
Well, you know, man, they would have to do this.
And if you go through that, reserve, you get hired.
It's what I want.
And because there really is no incentive.
At the non state or
Reserve.
so.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think
The only
is what I really know.
My history back,
I know that.
Bernard, Reserve Academy back in the day.
You can get
Yeah. You know, and see if it was. Then guys do.
That might be why you thought. So you can send it to her.
It was great.
You finish that
Great.
with the else.
Great.
And then.
The
The
only problem.
Why you were at there. And if she was. If we had been less than 3 years. Yeah, I should go look at that record track. So it'll make a weird number. That's why you're like, okay, numbers.
Guys, that was one. I mean, we run on the academies, 10,000 costs. Oh, you didn't call it.
Usually it's higher. So
Variance, Spokane, Tri-City.
that was a, issue.
Probably be. More like.
He still has some people.
Does anybody know the protocol if we're missing our chair and we don't have a co-chair?
So.
Then we have to. Or,
I don't know what's Robert's rules of order.
I don't either.
We have a secretary treasurer.
We still could.
Parliamentary.
But I'm not, I'm the secretary, but I'm not.
Well,
So I can't. I'm not supposed to.
But it's, we still have to, we have a quorum.
You do, yeah. It's just somebody has to leave.
Yeah.
well, listen.
Me?
There you go.
Yeah.
You have.
Right, right.
Yes, those nerves.
Those.
I just running around, conflict with kids, summertime, that sort of thing. Yeah. Summer's pretty much over though, kids, my daughter's driver's out, so we have to be available every day. Even if they're 200 miles.
Good, how are you? Yeah. How are you? How it is.
Order.
I mean, Spokane.
All right, I have Emery. I had James Thurston, sorry, I should have last name. Mark Pila.
Here.
Ken Whitco, I have not heard from yet. Ray Dotson.
Here.
Teresa King. Here. Julius Brown. It's a new member. And then Christopher Austin. Also a new member.
Just Chris.
Just Chris, okay. I'm gonna cross that out so I remember that. Tristan, our council member, told me he's not gonna be able to make it tonight, so he will not be here. If we have any issues, he told me just email him, and he'll take care of them. And then we have Assistant Chief John Unfrid, PD, and we have Assistant Fire Chief, Michael Dobbs here with us. And no youth council, so. Thank you, everybody. I think that's it.
Did everybody have a chance to look over the previous minutes?
Move that minutes be accepted as presented.
Second.
Second.
I got you. And then, do we have anyone here for public comment?
Oh, you wanna, make a motion?
Oh, I make a motion
To
to
approve minutes?
approve minutes.
Ayes?
I make a motion.
Oh, you motioned, you vote, I'm so sorry.
I made a motion to accept the minutes as presented. She seconded it.
Yes.
So all in favor?
There we go, thank you. I missed a week, I missed a month, and I'll give it too.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, public comment?
Nope. Nobody's here. There's nobody on there either.
And anyone representing city council today? Wester's Fire comments?
Oh, thank you. Gosh, I didn't make last meeting, so I don't know what was said then. It's been a good summer so far. We've had June 1,500 calls and almost 1,900 calls in July. Two substantial fires. We had the Hidden Lakes apartment fire, which displaced quite a few people. That was improperly disposed smoking material on the balcony. It displaced 2/3 of one building. It was a great partnership though with Red Cross. We had Red Cross out there. We set up a shelter. We had Pierce Transit for bring out a bus while we were, processing everything. City of Lakewood has a housing assistance program in those. So Martha City also participated. So we're able to work with management, Martha, Red Cross, get people relocated, rehoused. And of course, the biggest benefit of that is the complex required that everybody have renters. So that's good. The other one was the Watson Event Center, Pittsburgh. I'm sure everybody saw that. That fire was undetermined for the cause. And the building was still vacant, kind of probably in the state it's in for quite a long time as they go through that. That was an unfortunate fire in the middle of the evening, and to really get the fire out, we had to bring an excavator and to tear the building apart and put a lot of water on it. So that will probably never be determined to what the cause was of that. 4th of July was I would say a normal year. We had one house fire that actually wasn't related to fireworks. That was, they cleaned out their barbecue briquettes and put it straight in the fire, in the garbage, which unfortunately happens from time to time every year. We had 2 injuries and 16 related small fires, either suspected. So not terrible, not great, but I would say kind of been a typical year so far. Fortunately, it hasn't been as hot as last year, so not quite as dry. Sure, our basement tracking brush fires and wildfires around the state. While it's happening, it doesn't seem to be as severe as last year. Not going to wait. We still the rest of this month to get through. So and see. Summerfest was a great success. A ton of people. We had a lot of fun, a lot of community out there. And one person earlier, we were there really well. And last night was National Night Out. I don't know the party count, but it seemed like we have a lot of people going out into the community, eating free food and socializing all night. I know I was out till 9, so it was a good time. But then unless there's any questions.
Is the 4th of July fires, was that more or less than last year?
I didn't do a comparison.
Oh.
I was on call, and those events are over about a 5-day period. So we always look at from when we're selling fireworks to when we're not selling fireworks, that time period. So, I mean, 16 really isn't substantial. That's our entire district. That's not just Lakewood. So I would say it was on par for a normal year.
Nothing. Can we back up to public comments? As a citizen, I just wanted to communicate that the Lakewood Police Citizens Academy just wrapped up, and it was amazing to see that 2 members of the Public Safety Advisory Committee were in attendance. It was myself and Todd Wolf. And it was such an eye-opening experience for those who have never, wasn't it great? Like you get to meet like the leaders of each department, really get to know what the workload is for the Lakewood PD, and then all the different departments and roles that each person has. I think one of my favorites was the Marine Services Department, but I love water, so I liked to hear about that. And I didn't know about boat rules and life jacket rules and how young a kid could get a boater certificate. So there was a lot of information that I learned. It was nice to see Jonathan Cunningham in there, like I had a friend up there, so that was kind of nice. So anybody that hasn't done it, I know it's offered yearly.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend that experience because you get to meet members, other members of the police department and just have a really good understanding. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I just wanted to share that.
And I'll just add, so I forgot how long the classes were, 2 hours?
Yeah,
Once a week.
it was from 6:30 to 9 every Tuesday for about 8 weeks. Oh, one of my other favorite parts was driving the police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still have videos.
Maybe came in second. It might have been because of some technicalities, but I still came in second for the course. So it was a great experience. I didn't get to do the VR piece, but everybody else raved about that. So it was a really good
And I'm
experience.
happy to report, so we have a virtual reality simulator now.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Goggles and all that, and one of the guns got dropped. I'm not gonna mention names or point fingers or anything, but it's destroyed, and so but the manufacturer, even though it's outside of warranty, the manufacturer is gonna replace it.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
for free.
Okay.
So,
That's the shoot, no shoot part, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and actually,
That's
there's
downstairs.
more, you can do all kinds of different
Right.
scenarios.
Yeah, we did it downstairs a couple years ago.
Sure. Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, you wear a backpack and you can do multiple officers and they control it live. So based on what you do, the officer running on the laptop changes things up.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Well, I'm sad to miss that. But then also I know CERT training is open registration right now. And so that's something that I've signed up for through Rachel after. And so that's the next 4 weeks. So anybody interested in CERT training, that's open registration right now.
Yes, I think. I thought Alan, I know Alan was on it. Were you?
Well, yeah, Alan and I, in fact, I took it 3 times. The last 2, they use you as one of the gophers. The price of being allowed to stand in.
Through it, so that's exciting that you're keeping that tradition going.
And something else too is I know that the police, they really liked that people participated in the Lakewood Citizens Academy. It shows, you know, that the community is supporting them and takes a genuine interest in their safety and what it is they do. And so again, I just highly recommend it and advise people to do it. It was really good. Okay, and now we're on to Chief Conrad.
Thank you. So, yeah, 4th of July, just thought of that. I haven't seen the final report. Our number, it was a lower year, I think, than most, just anecdotally. It was a little bit different this year because it was the first year that we went for just 1 day instead of the 3 days of fireworks. So that skewed our numbers a little bit. So I have to have my crime analyst kind of dig a little deeper and pull out just the 4th. So I'll get you numbers for next meeting. Yeah, Summerfest was a huge success. I have not also heard the final numbers from the city. So they do a vehicle here too going into the park. Isn't going to capture everybody, but we can kind of extrapolate how many people attend based on that. But it was, I think last year was calculated 40,000 to 50,000. And I think it was easily that this year, if not more. It seems to be growing every year. I think our parking plan keeps getting a little bit better. It's really challenging to get cars in there because it is really only one way, and that's coming off Silicon Boulevard down Angle for Elwood. And but we have a system worked out, so it went very smooth. We had cooling stations, and I'm happy to say we did not lose any pets this year, unlike last year. Yeah, there were 2 dogs last year that died because of the heat. Yeah, yeah, and people walking up the hill from still with them in 90-degree heat and then all around the park. It's like, so, one of our Ann Gardner, volunteered herself before, but she organized the whole pet cooling. So they had 2 different stations for pet cooling. No human cooling stations, but we had pet cooling.
Priorities.
Yeah,
And as a CERT volunteer, so plug for CERT, not only the filling station, she also coordinated Summit Veterinarian.
Yeah.
And we actually did transport 1 dog. They actually did emergency procedures, IV, oxygen and cooling there on site for the dog. And we transported 1 dog. So we're very proud of Anne and all she put in, the effort she put into on her own. She saw a need and fulfilled it. But yeah, so it's something they're planning to come back every year now.
Yep. And they use some students from the vet tech program at Pierce College or Fuller Park Tech.
Pierce College.
Pierce College, yeah. So, and there were a couple of, a number of key medical calls, but nothing, I think, too serious. So I think cooling and water, will be on our list to add next year for stations to fill water bottles.
And then we're also looking, I'm gonna be putting a capital request to do we have golf carts, but we can't get a medic through there anymore with the volume of people. So we're gonna be looking at Central Pierce's model for the fair, where it's a golf cart like that we can actually transport somebody on if necessary, because the volume of people. I haven't been out in a couple of years just because I haven't finished my schedule. I was quite shocked at how large the event was grown to.
Yeah, no. So every year we keep adding more and more pieces, to that, so. National Night Out, yes, was a huge success. I think we had about 35, 40 events, throughout the city. A couple of bigger ones, Harborstone and America's Credit Union sponsored 2 of them, and the rest are all neighborhood locations. So that was well attended. We had a couple of new ones this year, so that was good. Looking forward, the department turns 20 on September 7th. Looking for a flag, but just remind myself. But we are gonna celebrate it officially and publicly on August 27th at Fort Silver Park, which is the last farmers market of the season. So the farmers market is late afternoon or midday.
Was 2 to 7.
2 to 7, yeah. And then the concert starts, so you can get your food truck and your farmer's market, and then have a concert, and then we'll have our celebrations. We'll have static display, kind of like we did with Summerfest, and some of our vehicles and officers and stuff out there for the kids and all that. So that will be on August 27th. That's all I have. Questions?
We said September 7th, yeah.
Yeah, September 7th is our actual.
No question. Anybody here representing youth council?
They're out there somewhere.
Unfinished business, business public safety survey.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wasn't Karen heading that?
I don't know what happened.
Right? I think everybody that was working on that just quit.
Do I have to talk at the city council about what we accomplished? or-
Yes, you do, actually.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I mean, were you on that one?
So Alan and Karen both are gone.
Mhm. So you were on it too, right?
No. Don't you remember?
Our notes, our minutes to see who was on it, but was it Martin? Maybe it was Martin that was on it?
Could I make a recommendation? Could we have like a list of what the committees, the subcommittees are and who's on each? Is that possible for us?
Don't know, I don't know why. I didn't.
Yeah, I just don't ever remember seeing it, so
Seeing what?
I understand there's subcommittees, right? Like someone was on truck and tractor day via our communication,
Mhm.
but I don't know who else served on that committee.
Oh, that's, so
Karen
they'll-
was on.
so you're talking about subcommittees, not the other, oh, I thought you were talking about the other committees in the, that's in our minutes, that's where I have that list. I
Okay,
have no other list in our minutes, so I actually have to look in the minutes. Who was on it.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, with everybody that just resigned, Mhm.
And if I can fill a role to be helpful on one of the subcommittees, I don't think I got assigned them.
No,
Okay.
yes.
Being a newbie on the board, what is the gist of the public safety, the business public safety survey? Can you give me a little information about it?
My understanding is that we are trying to look to bridge the gap between the community and with the city council and the legislators. So we were trying to receive feedback. And I think how we're gonna get that is via visibility and this public survey. And I think where we got hung up is there's been numbers on this business public safety survey, but I think they're gone and it didn't go anywhere, is what I'm hearing.
I was on it originally.
I would
When
say.
we did it originally, and then it all started with the city asking us to do it and reviewing the dashboard. We did that, and we turned it into the city, and we really never got anything back, really.
Not
And
for the dashboard. to
from the
mention.
dashboard, and so then we were asked to do is make up a survey, we made a survey,
It
and
was for
that's when
business.
chief was just
business
about to
center.
retire. So he said, well, let's wait till the new chief comes on board, let him take a look at it. Well, then he didn't particularly like the questions that were asked. He wanted to ask questions that were more related to what can we do in the future, not so much as how we've been performing.
More action.
And so we met with him and we wrote some new questions. Alan was involved with that. And Todd, no, I don't know Todd was, and Karen.
Well, and one of the things you guys were waiting for was that the city was putting out its own citizen survey. And so there was some concern that questions would overlap, so you waited for that one to go out. And then we had we had Michael Vargas here to present to you guys. That was the month I was out, so I don't 100% know because nothing was working, so I have no recordings. So I don't know exactly what he presented, but he presented to you guys last meeting, all of the results from that survey, and you guys were going to take the questions you had already come up with and the results and the questions from that survey and kind of come up with a new recommendation. And you were going to, once that was typed up, present that
I
to
can't
council.
have the feeling that he didn't really know that he was supposed to bring information back to us, so we asked him some questions and he was kind of like, well, okay. And he said, well, we're still tabulating stuff. And I said, well, are you going to go in and update the dashboard? That's what got this whole thing started with some of this information. And he said, I don't know about that. I'll have to check into it. So I think that we're still waiting for direction.
Well, who was our representative before?
Mike Brenson.
Yes, this was his idea.
Yes.
This is a suggestion that he made to us. And so I think that if
I don't,
him or Tristan,
my understanding was that came directly from city council during one of the meetings, during
Okay.
one of your joint meetings.
yeah,
Yes.
okay,
So
so I think that if
So they
they're
wanted
not gonna lead us.
business centered.
Yeah, but
I feel like we're all doing this. So you guys you were supposed to come up with questions for a business citizen, a business public safety survey.
yes,
And then the city was putting out its own survey for citizens. You wanted to see what questions they had on it first. So he brought you back all of the questions and the results from that at last meeting.
Right.
And then you were going to come up with new questions to make sure you didn't cover the same things that he had already covered in this one. And once you guys all agreed on these questions, you were going to present those as, this is what we think the business public survey should include to city council, and then they would do whatever they were going to do. You were just going to make the recommendation on questions.
okay.
That's what I got out of it.
So is this a physical survey or online
Well,
survey?
that's not our,
That
we
Yeah.
would not.
you're just creating the questions for city council?
Originally, it was that we were going to administer the survey, and so we came up with the survey, we submitted to city council said, yeah, but they wanted the police chief to go over, it, and then it got stalled. But originally, yes, they wanted us to be involved with distributing it through the city to small businesses, but then that's what time they hired the new communication person that was revamping a whole bunch of stuff. There's just been, we got caught up in not only a lot of changes. And so I don't know where we're at on first base. I think you're right. I didn't feel like the information we got from his report was helpful in where we were going.
Well, the majority of what you're trying to get from him was the questions, and I know that 5,000 page thing that he gave us, had the questions, like, it said what the questions were, and that way you guys can look at those and make sure that you didn't, okay, so we're not gonna ask those questions. We're gonna go this way, not this way, right? Like, so this has already been asked and answered, so we're gonna go this direction. So that was the biggest thing, is you wanted to see what his questions were, and if, you know, the answers that he got to those questions led you to more different questions, but I know that was in the handout.
Well, maybe we need to ask the city council maybe now, say, hey, okay, this survey's been done, you've collected all this information. Is there something you wanted to
And
do?
do that,
Yeah.
at your meeting next week.
Is there, looking forward and this next year going forward, is there like a subcommittee that we can identify that could tackle this portion? Or do we have to, in the time that we have quarterly, is this something we have to talk about all together? Or can there be like a communications committee that tackles the business survey?
I think because we're stymied, your best bet is what Mark just said, because you do have your joint council meeting next week on Monday. I think, you bring it to them and say, give this, this all got here, and now what do you want us to do? This, you guys did this survey. How are you looking at, what is it that you want from us, right? They need to direct you with what they're still looking for.
And the committee is still limited to just 2 people, right?
Yes.
Because you can't have anything above 3 creates a quorum, and you got
Right.
council meeting going.
Right.
We can't do that, so.
So I think maybe get direction from the council, because for all we know, at this point, then maybe they got all the answers they wanted from that citizen survey, and they don't need anything more from you guys. So maybe let them tell you what they want before you guys put more work into it. And then yes, and then at the next meeting, if they still want you guys to do it, we can do all that.
We can like identify a team or something. Okay, all right.
I think the community dashboard should be reworked. I think that, that was fine whenever they initially did that 10 years ago or whatever. But if they want to continue that information on the website, then they need to.
My
They
understanding
need
was
to
that that was
massage
more
that.
That's what and again, I'm looking at the minutes, because I wasn't here, but when I was typing up the minutes, I saw Tristan say that it was being worked on, that Bryn was working on it. So I don't think they've kicked it to the curb. I just think that they're reworking it still.
Right.
So, but again, great things to tell the city council when they're there.
Okay, who's gonna attend the city council? Okay,
That's-
anybody else?
Wait for that one,
Okay,
down here.
we'll wait for that, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna pause the public safety until after you guys meet, and we'll pick that up next month.
Okay.
Even if that's to say they don't want you to do it anymore.
Okay, and then my next favorite, which I am under the assumption this is another committee too for truck and tractor to.
The truck and tractor was Karen Todd, I think.
And I know
And
Mark-
I was on it originally when they did it. But then, the last go around, it was Karen and Todd and
Martin,
Martin.
and
Is Karen still part of?
none of them on.
Okay.
Really, I guess it's pretty difficult for us to do something like that. I mean, we don't have, and we're not like a fire department, police department, where we got something to go out there and really show the community. But we want them to know that we're here. And so that was the whole thing of the dump tank, really, if we tried to raise a couple of bucks and show that the safety committee was, something that existed. And so but it was so difficult to do the dump tank, we hashed all that over, decided, no, we don't want to do that at Summerfest. And so then the tractor pull came up. So that's actually where we're at, and we've never done anything with a tractor show, so. Truck and tractor show.
So are we still planning on being present for truck and tractor? Is that still a go? And then we just need to look for volunteers,
Good question.
your time, like in blocks, so it's not all on one person.
We talked about trying to do something, got kids involved, some games or something, you know, that kids could come and do something and they. I don't know. They could win a little prize or something, a bag of candy or whatever. And that's kind of where we went, and so I had sent in a suggestion of some games we could probably do. But really got down to first, was last year? Or was that? the
Last
second
year was the
time?
first year it was mentioned, but there wasn't time. to
Yeah,
come up
what-
with anything.
It ended up in October, and we were just trying to figure out who was on first base, so. I guess we have to decide how to best get out there, and. I don't know. I don't have any answers. I got lots of questions.
Okay, let me bring up a suggestion. What if we created a sign-up sheet where it was like, if the farmer's market is from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. What if everybody that can, like, sign up for an hour or 2 hours, and that's like your volunteer time block, and maybe we could have a booth? And we could, talk about Code Red, how to sign up for the emergency alert system. We could talk about the open cert, you know, like have information on the table, how to enroll into Code Red, how to sign up if there's any interest for, the cert program. There's different like emergency preparedness checklists. I know September has, was like emergency
Phone alerts,
preparedness.
phone alerts, and how to get those on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
In October is earthquake awareness month.
okay.
So what
Which
is,
is, I think, my truck and tractor day is October, right?
what is fire and police, what do you see holes that the committee could actually fill to do something that you don't necessarily take the lead in?
Well, we're not at every, she mentioned farmer market, truck and tractor day gets hard because you're competing against a lot of people coming out with really cool stuff. And what's your message you're wanting to deliver, right? Farmer market's great because we're not always at farmer's market. So it's a adjunct to what we provide, what you folks provide. And everything everybody's talking about is stellar, but also I think not only, you know, hey, here's public safety things preparedness, but what does public safety advisory council do? And what's the input and what's the relationship, information to the community so they know you're there. Us, your new members, how did you gentlemen learn what the public safety advisory council is? You know,
This guy.
you blame him.
Yeah, this guy, right.
But I think hitting farmer's market is a great avenue for your committee. Because it's the easy booth and people are just wandering, looking for information and wanting to talk.
And again, it's about visibility, right? And so I think asking those questions, you know, like, what is public safety? We would be able to answer that. And it would be at a level of like, you know, this is why we joined. And also let the community know that there is such a committee, because I didn't know about this until Alan introduced it to me, talking about, you know, recent bank robberies that I went through. And I also think, you know, if you have someone's attention and they stop at the booth, asking maybe a very few targeted questions, like, as a Lakewood resident, what is your biggest safety concern living here in Lakewood? And then we can compile that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a safety survey, but we're just having some dialogue with the community members. Where I think the obstacle or the hurdle is gonna be is, again, 5 hours for, like, to expect just 2 people or 3 people to be there. That is a huge commitment from experience. And I think that the only way to make this successful, which you guys have probably felt with trying to get truck and tractor day going, is having the entire committee participate at some level, like. We have to be able to set aside at least an hour to be present at this booth. Does that make sense? So I don't,
Quick question. So first, when is Truck and Tractor Day?
September 12th.
October.
14,
October when?
15.
12.
So, like a Saturday
Now-
morning, typically.
So the next question is, when we're talking about booths or what, well, because I'm a nurse. My mind's always on, public health, yada, yada, yada. So at these events, and I also work for Western State. So at these events, would something practical be like, say for instance, when it comes to public safety, mental health, the stigma of mental health and stuff, would it be appropriate for, to have like a booth there focused on those kind of things? Like if I were able to talk to some people at Western and be like, hey, this event's going on. Yeah, we have a booth there just to speak with people about mental health issues or things like that. Would that be, is that this type of event? Would that be appropriate?
I mean, things that are available for them. For
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Yes.
Are we talking at Truck and Tractor? Are you asking about Truck and Tractor or Farmers Market? Sorry.
I don't know.
Different things.
Well, either or.
Okay.
We're talking
I
about
think-
truck and tractor. There's also the jazz night. Is that what it is over on, where there's, over the Colonial thing there?
The street festivals,
Huh?
the street festivals on the
Street
motor.
festival.
Yeah, on motor.
That might be more conducive because it's a little smaller, a little more contained for us to set a booth at.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm gonna redirect.
Yeah.
So
I'll
you,
defer to Ken.
you were running Truck and Tractor Day. Truck and Tractor Day is a fire department event. So what is Truck and Tractor Day?
So I'll have to ask more. That's Lance, Nelson, my VC coordinates that. But typically that's Big Rigs, right? Big Rigs for fun
That's a
kids.
city event. That's a
City
city park.
City events, that's what
Oh.
I'm thinking.
I thought it was fire
But
department.
my experience is more, big vehicles for kids. I'll be excited about. That's my experience.
Yeah, so it's run by the parks and it has, fire trucks, dump trucks, school buses, utility bucket trucks and, tractors and all that stuff. And the kids get to climb all over.
Displays,
Yeah.
display and demonstration, is that it?
Pretty much all display, because they don't move much of them. I think one of them, you can
That
lift
thing
a
I got
bucket
caught
or
in that
something.
traffic about a year ago.
I think to what
Yeah.
Chris is more talking about, and I think it's a great idea, especially from Western State, is summer, their booths informational, that, the VA had a whole, veterans assistance set up next to the military display, whole booths of veterans, school district was there, fire department, law enforcement. There was a whole, area set up of people selling things, but also informational booths set up. That's great. Farmers market, that's what we do at farmers market. We set up a booth. We're not there every week, but we rotate through and we set up a booth about what does West Pierce Fire and Rescue do? That could be one. Jazz nights, for the music on the at Motor Avenue. They have the music, but then they also have just a variety of people that set up and informational vendors and things of that nature. And then I'm missing, there's another one that came to mind.
So my 2 cents, since he says that, a city employee and not as a member of this, is the farmer's market might be a good option. And I'm gonna do a presentation on West Pierce Emergency Management Coalition, which includes West Pierce Fire and cities of UP, Steilacoom and Lakewood. And we've got like a pop-up with a logo, or we can get the city logo. Then you could, just like you were talking about with Code Red, emergency preparedness, I think we could borrow enough materials between our departments. And then it's a little fuzzy on staff preparation of materials, but I think like Bryn could come up with what is this committee? What do you do? Just, basically take a website and put it on a brochure. And then it gives you something to talk about with people like, hey, this is what we do. you can join us on Zoom, you can, here's our minutes on the website and all that kind of stuff.
Or make public comment. I think like, I
Yeah.
probably said before, people do not know that you can come here and make a public comment.
Right.
And I like suggested that we try to get people in the room before. But I think we should pause on this year's truck and tractor and establish some sort of like PSAC event SOP, where we have all of that stuff ready to go, all the events where it's appropriate, so, and then there's no overlap. And then we can like decide, because we have the best intention of being there, but we're not, we need to get ready. We need to establish a plan.
They always saw us as a conduit for the public to come in, give us their thoughts and ideas or
Yes.
issues.
Yeah,
And then we would bring those forth, and then, as we talked about it, we get up to the city.
yeah,
We haven't really ever gotten to that point, because we branch out into some of these things, like, we pick an activity to go on, but if we can get the ideas that people are really concerned about to bring forward, so that we can share it with law enforcement, fire, and with the city council, then they can take some type of action. And like my favorite one is the crossing over there. There still has nothing been done about, what's the name
the
of that
lights
place?
coming, right? Are-
Why'd you ask me?
are-
I-
Creek?
Yeah, Clover
We got
Creek,
Clover
Clover Creek
Creek.
Crossing, it's just, still a hazard. Don't get me started.
Well, but the only thing is that these went in the rail plan, they've recognized that we got that far with it.
We found out where they intentionally avoided that.
That's because you kept asking the question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, well, we did the research and figured out what had happened, and they left out one of the most important places around, and we fixed the other stuff that was already there and already being taken care of. So that's what I thought that we were doing. I was always digging. I've always been digging, trying to figure out what issues we can do to help make some of the areas better. And asking people, what needs to be fixed, because it's a real safety hazard. That was what I thought.
And then the other thing that's kind of thrown a little wrench in the monkey in the works is that we've had these neighborhood associations, and a bunch of them have kind of closed out. COVID and then never got going. So we were going to those meetings, and we were liaisons between the neighborhood committees or meetings and this group. And those have kind of gone by the wayside. I don't know what happened to North Lakewood. I guess they're not doing it. So they stopped. I
You observed that there might be occasional ones, which he needs the mailing list that he developed to reach out.
It looked like they were gonna reach out to their HOAs over there, and they were kind of gonna do away with the neighborhood association for speaking, so, I don't, it just seems like in about a year's time there were just too many changes and things going on that we kind of lost direction.
Mhm.
Not to our fault.
Yeah,
I feel like truck and tractor day is still 2 months out. And, I feel like it is doable to be present and visible with the idea of, having like the code red printed flyers out, and then something to talk about the public safety advisory committee. I don't think that would take very much effort in creating like a little flyer to hand out to people. And I can be a volunteer to be there, but I'm looking for,
What date is that? You guys remember?
the 12th is a Saturday.
Yeah.
October 12th.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
It's, what are the hours? It's usually like 8 to,
the
I don't have
12th,
the hours.
is it on our website?
Yeah.
It's like 11 to 4.
the 12th is a Saturday,
Yeah. it's
19th is a Saturday.
It's in 12.
Did you say
October
4 in the
12.
morning?
Huh?
Did you say 4 in the morning?
More.
More
In the morning.
Like 9.
Who's there at
I
that
want to say it
time?
was like override, like noon.
I'd volunteer to be there.
I'll be there too, man. I can do it.
Okay, if you want to, James, I'll do it. What do you want to do, like 2 hours? Or-
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do whatever it takes, but we gotta have some substance And then be able to focus on something that draw people in.
I told you, we're well,
And it's, Camry, it's 12 to 3 for the city website.
12 to 3.
Yeah.
You beat me there by about 30 seconds.
I've never been to one of these. Are there other canopies, information?
Yeah.
Each of everybody that provides a truck or tractor generally does. So the city parks provides their tractors, the Bobcats and that kind of stuff. Like Lakeview Light and Power brings out their big boom truck, and then a lot of times they'll have a table and a booth. Trying to think, LeMay comes out with a garbage truck, Clover Park Schools runs a school bus. Gene Spelling comes out with a big giant, semi tow truck, and it's grown like every year. They keep adding more. The military sometimes will come out with a striker or that kind of thing.
But those are tied to actual displays and anyways.
Yeah, so some do a booth, some will use it as a recruiting event, others don't. They just kind of show up with the truck. And usually a lot of them will have giveaways for kids. The city gives away construction hats, really thin little construction hats,
Yeah.
yellow hats.
Yeah.
Um,
Was there a fire truck?
Yep.
Last year?
Fire department,
Yeah.
police department, city's there, so, I mean, there's enough of the city and fire department there that if you guys pop up a tent, do an informational booth, it's not like you're gonna stand out like, oh, they didn't bring a big rig.
We can make sure you guys got flyers and all that.
There was someone part of the Citizens Police Academy that gave me like a lot of brochures on how to prevent auto theft. And so like that's something that we can have at the table. So I think it'll be like a lot of information that we can just have. And then when we do have like the citizens attention, we can just ask them some questions that we can bring back to the city council or to the team and talk about.
The final life would be good to have there too.
Joanne, could we?
Hey, Chris, back to your
Don't mind
original
this
question
private
about
center.
mental health.
Yes.
I can get you in contact with Chief Nelson, who coordinates. He can work with you on the mental health Western State and things for that.
Well, and it's not, so,
If it's outside of this, I don't want to lose track of your questions.
I get what you're saying, because, well, I say mental health because I've been a mental health nurse for a while, but, because when I think public safety, then I think more than, about, crosswalks and whatever, like, in my mind, it's more about, getting information out about well-being also. So whether it's information on hypertension, whether it's, and I'm actually gonna do, I'll look up the demographics. Yeah, I'll look through states to see what the demographics are for Lakewood and some of the health issues, like the most prominent ones. And that's great information to get out to the public, so, but yeah, wherever, I just get in where I fit in. Where I can fit in, I'm good. I'm good.
We could, just brainstorming, because we have behavioral health contact teams. We have 2 full-time mental health professionals from Greater Lakes who work out of here, and they partner with an officer.
Yeah, to do the riots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a CARES program.
And you've got a nurse.
Yeah, we have a nurse that,
Not necessarily mental health.
And
oh, yeah, no, she does.
But she does. Wonderful.
It's not her full focus. Her focus is more of, repeat visitors that, don't need more resources and we're not the right resource, so.
I got you. Yeah.
Part of
But
that,
as soon as they overlap, so that.
and that's good information for the public to know about,
Right.
so, yeah, that's just my angle. Okay,
and we can fit, since you have new members, we can get Karen back in rotation next year to come talk about our programs again.
Yeah.
So that new members can understand that service also within the fire fund.
Roger that, thank you.
But Greater Lakes. I mean, that could be an option. A lot of the resources are through, a lot of the resources that our behavioral health team use are through Greater Lakes. Or at least for the public.
If we get this and put it together, by the time we have the next meeting, it'll occur in less than 5-6 days after the meeting.
We meet on the third,
We need
so.
that
The third? Oh, excuse me, the
so
second.
that we
I was
can.
saying, isn't it the second?
For,
We need to get an extra pop-up then. Yeah, it'll be for, I didn't tell your boss.
Okay, well, what we got, I'm just voted to go out there without anything.
We can, I know the city does pop up, we talked to Parks. And they can get us a pop up.
One of them at least has gone missing, but I can try to hunt it down. We usually have about 3
Of the city ones or?
of ours.
Yeah,
We
Signal.
usually have like 3.
Yeah, we have, I was just thinking of, just of the generic blue,
Oh, okay.
city of Lakewood.
Just a small.
Cause you,
I mean, you
never
never
know
know
in
the
October
police
what
one,
the weather's gonna be like.
Yeah, no.
Well, is that something we need to ask for, or I can call Sally or? Marti- Do you ask for them? Okay.
I don't know what the protocol needs to be, but I can do that.
Okay.
So could I create like a sign up sheet for volunteer hours for that day and then send that to you, Joanne, to send out to see? Cause then we could all respond to Joanne with like what her availability is. Could we do that?
You want to send out a sign up sheet and everybody respond to me? Is that what
Because I understand they can't respond to me.
Right, sorry.
Okay, so.
Okay,
you-
sorry, I was writing the last thing you wanted me to do, I'm just making sure I'm understanding the question.
I can write you an
Just
email.
to save your trouble, put my name on the sheet now.
We were just talking, if it's 12 to 3, so I would think we want somebody there at 11. So maybe, just 2 shifts, 1 to 11 to 1:30 and 1:30 to 4.
We have to set it up, so I don't think anyone's just gonna go and set it up for us, so. We got to establish and set up.
We can check, it's Parks runs that event, if we tell them that we need a pop-up and a table. The material and stuff you have to lay out.
Yeah.
But they may come and set that up for you.
Okay. Cool. Solve that one, right?
Okay, so set up, so do we still do the 11 or do you want to do like 11:30?
Just let it reset, yeah. that's just
Okay,
let it-
11:30 to 1:30 and then 1:30 to 3:30.
We need a good list of materials on when we come in a second, so we'll know what we have and discuss it.
I could help with that together. Materials, not on the table. I could help with that.
Do we want to, what shift are you signing up for?
I need to take the 11:30 to 1:30.
Do you want to do it now? Do you guys, what do you want?
Doesn't matter, it's 4 hours, I could do 4
And
hours.
then you.
I mean, are we gonna do it just one person or can
No,
you just show up if you
There's a
want?
lot of them, that way we get talking.
Yeah.
And go in that traffic,
30 to 1, but if
and
I
it
need to,
took
I
me
can.
like an hour to get out of it, once you get in that line.
You just.
They
How
need
about
to
if
type of signs.
I just go over there, we'll hang out during it, and
So
we can get somebody to fill in the afternoon, and James and I will be there also. So it'd be,
Very good.
make sure that we got
I'll
coverage.
get my bike.
Okay, but I thought you guys wanted to have it written down on a set sheet, so you knew who to expect and who's coming. So I've got Teresa and Camry for the 11:30 to 1:30. So who we want to put down for the 1:30 to 3:30? So we have it on paper.
I can show up for 1:30 to 3:30. I'm cool.
Nice.
Okay.
If it's a Saturday, I'm off.
And then I think I can help with gathering the information that we can share with the community as far as the code red, the cert. Is there stuff on your guys' websites already that I can just print off and get that stuff? And then,
We should have,
Yeah,
we have all those.
I don't think you need to print anything out. Communicate with Rachel. And she can definitely, help get, stuff through, more information shared. Probably, I don't know who manages the code right now, but I can ask Callie.
Yeah, Hallie, Nathan, and Serena.
Yeah.
We can get like the auto, crime prevention stuff.
And then I can get stuff off the city's website for public safety, but before I print anything, I can run it by you for approval.
Yeah, it very much has to be
Yeah.
run, and not each of me has to be run through our communication, so it's probably better for me to have our communications department.
That would be great. Thank you. That would be awesome.
I think they can do that.
Yeah, and we can get stuff from our stuff too.
You guys, look at that. Good job. Look at us.
You don't wanna do duct tape in October.
No.
No. We do the duct tape in Summerfest, you guys do it in Cracker Day.
No.
Is this duct tape like in a closet somewhere and it comes out?
No,
especially
that was part of the problem, no, it's on there.
That's it.
Do I even ask?
Yes.
And then we
That's-
fill it up
that's
with
a-
nasty
That's
water.
the thing.
Great.
Yeah, they fill up all the rusty water. No, I'm not kidding.
The
Which
water's
is cold and
Yeah,
rusty.
horrible.
And
The
they,
water that comes out of the ground
It
or
doesn't
our kitchen, it's always amazing.
So the two of you are signing up for the duct tape?
No.
Once
I
you-
I used to do it every year.
I have to prove it.
It's a duct tape, yeah.
Okay.
And that's how you guys could contribute.
I sacrifice my children. I put my kids up there for a number of years. We throw them in a department shirt and call it. Ethan.
Okay.
Okay, I feel relieved for new business, the
Absolutely.
discussion and preparation for the presentation.
Okay, but this is my fault, forgot to put something under unfinished business.
Okay, I'm
So
ready.
I'm gonna slide that in there right now. Are you
Okay.
good with me doing that? And that would be Chief Unford's presentation on the Emergency Management Coalition. Did I get that right?
Well, it was on emergency planning. Well, and I'm sorry, I thought it was an actual agenda item. 'Cause I
It
know
should have been. It should
emergency
have been.
planning had been a topic for here and there, and I missed the last two PSAC meetings, so
So that was me
Apologize
for
for that.
putting it on. My apologies.
does it come up?
I'm hoping. Let me switch screens. Oh, wait, I gotta go back to the.
It'll be short. I won't worry.
I'm going to do share screen, share screen. Let me try that. Big right here.
I can be replaced with them in my back.
Got it.
I know you gotta say.
So, if there's other things that you want covered, let me know. This was kind of what I had gotten marching orders for us to talk about the emergency plans that we have within the city and our planning process. So, next slide. Wow, that doesn't come out very big. And there's also, well, I'll cover that later. So these are, so on my background is, besides being assistant police chief and running the police department during the day, emergency management is a city function, and so that fell under me as other duties as assigned. And so for a good 6-8 years, I managed that. And there's certain things that we have to do by FEMA standards and requirements. And so we have to meet those. We have since formed a coalition, as I mentioned, with Stilcombe, University Place, and West Pierce Fire to create the West Pierce Emergency Management Coalition. And so now we have 2 full-time staff with West Pierce Fire that do all of these plans for the entire coalition. So it's a population of about 100,000 between those 3 cities. And I no longer have to do it, so I'm super happy about it. And it's probably a much better quality product too. So we start with and I'll talk about each one of these as we go through, the THIRA, that's the threat hazard assessment. And then it goes to the stakeholder preparedness review, the hazard mitigation plan, and then that tells us how we create our comprehensive emergency management plan. And that's the plan that the city would use during a major emergency. And then some other plans that support that comprehensive plan. So next slide. So a lot of this, people talk about FEMA and they think FEMA comes in with the blue jackets and the semi trucks and stuff. That doesn't really happen. But there is a presidential directive and the national preparedness goal. And so if you think about the United States government trying to prepare all of its citizens, including states, counties, cities, and getting everyone on the same page, the same types of plans. Because if everybody writes different, you have to have different plans because every city and county is different, but you want the framework to be the same. And so they created this, because you have to start with assessing what your hazards are, right? Before you get into the plan. So next slide. So we do this cycle. That was why I had that kind of circle. It's a 5-year cycle. And so we start off with a threat hazard identification and risk assessment. They keep changing the names. So if you're going to create a plan to respond to emergencies for the city of Lakewood, you need to know, well, what hazards do we face here? Because those are the ones that we probably want to prioritize preparing for. And it's different. Like I said, it is different for every community. And even in, you know, as much as like Steilacoom has different hazards than University Place or Lakewood. And we're different than Cal. So each community is different. So we ask these questions, you know, what does this community, what kind of threats do we have? And that changes over time. For instance, the Amtrak train started running. So high-speed trains through our city, that created a new hazard. The redefining the area that's called wildland urban interface. So, and that's a fire term, but like my house now in Lakewood is in a WUI, they call it zone. So my insurance is more expensive and my insurance company does extra stuff for me because I'm in the WUI zone. So if you think of the fire at Fort Steilacoom Park, I mean, actually very close to running through neighborhoods and stuff. And so that's a new hazard. And then based on those impacts, you know, how would we respond? What capabilities do we have or don't have? And then that's a gap. So we want to fill those gaps. Next slide. And then the SPR is a stakeholder preparedness review. Really what that is just taking a look at, okay, here's our threats. What do we have in the community? What's our strengths, right? So we take a look at all of our stakeholders and we send out assessments, but we look at, and we have a monthly stakeholder meeting as everybody from Western States, St. Clair, school district, the colleges, JBLM, WASDOT, DOT, obviously the police and fire departments, the utilities, just a wide range of people that have business here in Lakewood. And so we get an understanding of what capabilities do we have within the city of Lakewood. During the next slide. And then we know, okay, these are the hazards that are most likely to occur. And these are the capabilities that we have. Then we can write the comprehensive emergency plan because we know what we have to work with. And so this is an important plan because it has to get approved by the state and FEMA. And if we don't have this approved, if a disaster happens in Lakewood, then we are not eligible for FEMA disaster assistance. And so as a citizen, you would not be eligible for individual assistance. So when FEMA, you know, pays to help rebuild your house after a flood or an earthquake or that kind of thing, you would not be eligible. And then public assistance is where FEMA helps pay the governments, like for our response to a disaster. So it's kind of important. That's our big insurance policy. I lose sleep over that until I get my approval. I lose sleep on that one. And that one gets reviewed every 5 years. Ours is up. And actually we're transitioning now. So, and that's the benefit of this coalition is before Steilacoom had to do one, UP, Lakewood had to do separate plans. Now we do one for the whole coalition. And so we encompass all that. So it's a nice efficiency there. The other one that's required by FEMA is the hazard mitigation plan. And so we're just starting our work with that. And that one we do, it's a county-wide plan, and then each city has an annex to the county plan. And so that accounts for, so the county has the overall plan, and then each city speaks directly to how we're going to mitigate our known hazards. And so it's a pretty lengthy process, the hazard mitigation plan, takes about 6 to 9 months. We have to, go to like the farmer's market and try to get public input. Let's talk about manning a booth and trying to explain to people like this in like 5 seconds before they walk away to the, the food truck is really hard to do, but we have to open that up, and that's done every 5 years. Next slide. And then those other plans are continuity of operations and continuity of government. So we suggest that every business and maybe even like household has a continuity of operations plan. So how are you going to, do you have a succession plan for every position? What are your critical infrastructure needs for your, your business, your operations? So if you lose internet, how are you going to operate? If you are the number one, the chief, the manager, whatever, and you're not able to come into work, who's the number 2 that can make decisions? And do they have the authority within your organization to make those decisions and so on? And so our COOP plan, luckily we revised it, literally, we finished it like February 2020. So right before COVID, and then we used that heavily during COVID, just to continue our operations. And then also for us, we have to have a continuity of government plan. So it's the same, basically the same as the COOP, but for the government. Like if the mayor's out, who has authority to do what? And then for each department within the city, the police chief, who's going to take over for the police chief if he or she is unavailable, so on. And getting all those plans in place ahead of time. Next slide. So I already talked about the coalition. And next slide. So they do all of that planning now. So by state law, each city has to have an emergency management program, and we have to do these plans. They're also a FEMA requirement, or we can create a coalition to do that for us, which is what we have done. So we legally created the coalition, and that meets our state statutory responsibility. I mentioned we serve now about 100,000, and then we share resources during emergency. So this is Lakewood's Emergency Operations Center in this room. These tables, we configure it differently. We use city staff to run the EOC. They're cross-trained, so we pull people from community development, public works, parks, all that, and they come in and are cross-trained into how to run an EOC, Emergency Operations Center. Still come in University Place, do the same thing. And so they also have EOCs. And so it's nice because it gives us a lot of redundancy. And how we wrote our plan is that if it's an incident in University Place, the Emergency Operations Center would be up there. It's still going to be Silicon, Lakewood. But if it's a widespread event, we'll be here and we'll manage all 3 because this is just the biggest, most robust. Their EOCs are pretty small. Or if theirs is damaged, then they can come here and run the incident from here. And they have their own website, westpierceemergency.org. It has a lot of preparedness information on there, and talks about the coalition and some of our plans and that sort of thing. And then the handout that I have for you is the work plan for the coalition. So the coalition reports to an oversight, or what we call the joint board, which is the city managers from the 3 cities and fire chief. Fire districts don't have the statutory requirements to do these plans, only cities. So those 4 people oversee the coalition. And that's it. So you talked about emergency plans and FEMA. Every city will have those plans. So if you go in and say, hey, I want to see your COOP or your CEMP, every city will have one or should have one. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm thinking broadly or if this falls under families, individual plans, but for those people, let's say like an emergency, a natural disaster, man-made happens. For those individuals that are immobile or on ventilators or need power for like oxygen or anything. Though, are those people known to by West Pierce Fire or by the police for checkups or to get them whatever they need for emergency services, or is that more of an individual plan where they have to figure out?
That, ultimately, it's their responsibility. There's some assistance, I think at one point they did map us out, but I'll let you talk. But yeah, so we tell everybody 2 weeks self-sufficient. So that's everything that you need. So food, water, pet food, medications, and then, yeah, having a plan if you have other, medical access functional needs.
We don't have it mapped out. I mean, the demand is significant. So when you get a Home O2 system, that's powered, a lot of times they'll come with battery backups, but then they'll also have O2 canisters, but it is still a limited supply. And that does become issue during emergencies. So, and unfortunately, that's that individual emergency preparedness. And then we will triage and prioritize responses based on the plans.
But those first things that John mentioned, CERT covers all that pretty thoroughly when you take the class. And it also tells you where you can stand in as a substitute while things settle down. Like I got my wrench, I can go turn gas off at somebody's house or something like that.
Right.
But the CERT, puts lots of listings and lots of practicals out on that.
For our new members, CERT is our community emergency response team. West Pierce says, how many classes? I think 50, we just did our 50th class. And we put on 1 or 2 classes every year. And the idea is we train our citizens to respond to their neighborhood community emergencies during that disaster to help emergency response.
So there's a lot of overlap, and that's why the coalition was great, because we already partnered with the fire department. This fire department does CERT. They put out a lot of information on individual preparedness. Because we had that statutory requirement as a city, we were doing the same thing. So there's a lot of overlap. So we kind of got condensed that to have some efficiencies. But so we have those flyers, on used to be 3 days, 3 ways. We say 14 days because of the earthquake danger now, the Cascadia subduction zone. And so, so we, coordinate people, trying to educate the public to be prepared. So in terms of Public Safety Advisory Committee, I think in the last 6 months or so, there was kind of at least a desire to understand other parts, other facets of public safety and emergency management. It's definitely one of those. It traditionally falls under, police or fire departments, and obviously first responders were kind of the initial part of that. But emergency management is a lot more because it goes down to individual preparedness, all the way up to FEMA and federal resources and all of that. And then all of those plans that you do ahead of time, as well as the response and then recovery too. So once the disaster is over, how do you get stuff back up and running, power on, businesses running, schools back in? We kind of saw that with COVID, right? Like school shut down and everybody had to scramble, and then, how do you get that life going again? So. Thanks. Any other questions? Yep.
I'm working for presentation next week. So perfect segue to new business. Oh, man. Okay.
So for new business, discussion, preparation, and presentation of the city council next week.
I did very quickly, and I see typos, I apologize, I spelled your name wrong on there.
That's okay.
And then we lost a few members after I typed this up, so I'll have to put a few more asterisks on there. And I can certainly add this presentation, so that takes care of number 5, to show that you guys are working on that. And I can add something for today as well, stating that, you've made a plan for the truck and tractor day and you plan on having booths there. So we can list that on here as well. So I'll make that adjustment, first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay.
But if there's anything else you want me to change or add before I send it to Ariana for the city council. I don't know.
Yeah, because we have to have our council packets in Thursday for the following council meeting.
And if you don't like what I've written. Do
Do you want to list something on here about, the Clover Creek crossing so that like the city.
The
council knows?
last time we discussed that, they told us that that was gonna be taken care of, it didn't need to be on anymore. I couldn't figure out why, but they said that it's gonna be handled at some point in the future, and it's on the city's docket, so. One thing I'd like to know is where it is,
Right,
you know, because that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When we brought it up and.
That's not what this is. This is for you to show them, they're looking at the work plan that you've already submitted, and this is for you to show them what you've accomplished. That would be something that you could ask them about,
well,
but
that's what I
not,
was thinking.
Yes, no.
right, like, so
We haven't
not,
taken any action.
not up here, because that would be something that would go on your work plan for 2025.
Yeah, we
Which
haven't
we'll present,
done it.
like, we'll work on that, in December. We'll come up with that in December, and then you would present it to them, for it, like, it goes to them and they vote on it. So that'd be something you could put on that. But this is about 2024's work plan and your accomplishments. Am I
I
saying
get
that
that.
better?
No, I get that, I understand that. Isn't it a time to also ask, or like to ask the question, like, this is feedback that we're receiving is, we're looking for an update, or is that, we can't even ask that question?
It's not that, it's a different forum. That would be for your work plan
Okay.
discussion. Right, because this is supposed to be, this is what we've done, and if you know, these are the things that this is the work plan they've already approved. So this is the progress you've made on the work plan that they've approved, and give us direction on the things that we haven't tackled, right, like the business survey. So the things you've already presented to them. Your work plan for 2025 would absolutely be where you would put that and say, we want to get back to this, and we want to, you know what I mean?
Okay,
So for the 2025 work plan, but this is covering what they've already approved.
okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so I know I need to show up.
Yes, and if you want to do a head count, if we're all happy. They always ask me, they wonder how many chairs to set up for you guys.
What
So
date is it? Because they're.
that is October 12th.
October.
No,
August.
Rain. So sorry, it is next week, right? Next.
Right.
Is
Monday,
it Monday?
7 PM.
August 12th.
Thank you.
August 12th.
August 12th. It's another 12. It's not the October one
Sounds good.
at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Anything you guys, do you want me to add those two things, and then is there anything else you want me to add, or anything that would change on this, other than my typos?
Ray, do you have any feedback?
I was scanning the song, because I've not been here last meeting. I don't feel up to speed on continuity, but it's all silent.
James, Mark, what does it look to you guys?
I'm putting it on there. I'll plan to come, the exhibit.
I'm trying.
Does the accomplishments look good and have your guys' approval? Okay. Good, we have this Tuesday. Are you gonna be there?
I will.
Tuesday, my lifesaver.
I'll help you.
Okay.
And did you get
I'll be there.
Do I have, okay, and then do I have to make a motion to approve the work plan accomplishments?
And yeah, I guess we do, we probably should make it official.
Can we make a motion?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can't carry the motion.
Right, right. Even though- so, take the motion?
Make a motion, we accept the plan as proposed.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
All in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
So the next thing is Monday is a study session. They'll have the U-shaped table down below. And so it's less formal. Anyone who attends gets to sit down below with the council. And then it's just a conversation, just have a microphone in front of you.
Usually I talk about 2 or 3 seats down there, everybody else is sitting down.
Yeah.
In the audience.
Yeah.
Mark
Arm wrestle over.
That needs to be the.
James, did you say you were going?
Oh, you guys, thanks.
We'll be the ones giggling in the back.
I will say the following Monday after that is August 19th. And at that council meeting, the police department is doing an award ceremony and we will be recognizing Alan. Because he was for 18 plus years of service, because he was a volunteer when we started the department in emergency management of all things. And then he's been on PSAT for 18 years. So he's been, a couple of years before that, he was a volunteer with the police department, emergency management. So we'll be doing an award.
The 19th.
At 7 p.m. At the same council meeting, so council chambers.
Okay. I'm on a cruise ship. I won't be there.
40 person.
Oh, God. But somebody needs to give him a big squeeze for me. So who's volunteering? Okay.
I figured John.
You don't want to do that?
The nice thing is they do the awards like up front at the beginning of the meetings.
You got out there if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, preview of next meeting, which is October 2nd.
Oh, those are our PSAC elections and the work plans. We can start on that and finalizing anything else about the truck and tractor day. They were.
So we can join today.
What day is that?
August,
Then-
October 2nd. Yeah.
I see, August, October, they sound the same.
So I do think it's traditional, like after you do the progress report Monday, just to ask the council, other things. We're gonna start working on our work plan or other things that you want us to look about.
Yeah.
And that comes from you, right? Because I feel like, don't you, you do this last year and you're like, that has to come from me, Karen. Right?
Kind of, yeah. So, for the work plan, like you can, like he's saying, you can say, is there something that you want us to start looking forward to? So that we know when we have our December meeting, what to throw on there. You can ask that, absolutely. And we already know that we want to put the, Clover Creek back on there to check in with them again.
Okay. And I asked that, how, like.
So at the end, so they'll ask you, you can go through your progress
City
report.
Council.
Yeah, at the city
Yeah,
council on Monday,
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then, yeah, in December, we'll all decide what to put on there and then I'll take that up and I'll send it. They'll vote on it, make any changes they want and send it back to us.
Okay, it's all coming down to me.
Okay.
All right.
I hope so.
Phew. I thought I made that sound. Okay, reports from board members and staff.
Oh, maybe before you move to that, under next meeting,
Yeah.
we've touched several times very sincerely on how does PSAC function? How do we have community conduit established? Before Caulfield was city manager, actually Alan got me on the committee in about his 3rd year. I'm sorry to see my buddy go. But anyway, I had the same dilemma. I sat around for a couple of years and I said, Doug, Richardson was mayor, and I says, do we wear a flashing sign? He says, don't come just pissed off, come with something you got to say before it's a fight. And he says, well, you gotta get out there among the people, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. I went through a tortured trail for 8 months to get an approval for PSAC city, let's call it emblem or logo with the guy to look to ball cap jackets. Because I would show up at McGavin and try to prod somebody into saying something, I'll take the good or the bad, that might impact on Lakewood. And I would be an honest broker for it, even if I disagreed. I was honest and bring it up, I had honest and bring it back. And I didn't go anywhere, I had no identity. The other people who were kind of wanting to be seen had business cards, they had little tags. So I got this thing done, I got an embroidery place to actually put it into a file and had a hat and a jacket and a shirt and some cards. But couldn't get any bite on the committee to actually use it. And I felt like the Lone Ranger out there when we were wrestling about the golf of the grocery carts. I mean, for 7 months, they didn't decide what they were gonna do. So I went around and just did got some interesting information. It was good to do because, you know, I went to Safeway and they said, frankly, we do an accounting as to what does it cost us to bother? And it's cheaper for us to keep buying the carts than try to round them up or pay a truck to go around and get them and deal with all that stuff and the insurance of these people getting hurt. That's amazing, but why do you still want to live with that? But anyway, maybe in October, you can see if there's a seed that can be watered and get some sunshine and may wish to find some way to go without looking like you're a hustler or somebody trying to talk them into buying insurance or sell a house in a sincere way and go to atypical locations. You can go to school board meetings, they have enough breaks and stir around, say, hey, you know, I'm involved with the PSAC and really would like to know if there's anything good or bad. Don't mind carrying the good ones back up. In a way that you can look official rather than somebody just bored that night and went and had a t-shirt on that's the right color. I was in real estate. I was a real estate broker for a while. You had to have an identity. And I did a lot of those shows and I did a lot of stuff. One year I sponsored all the extramural activity for JBLM, the weightlifting, the mud splash and all this stuff they did. And it has something that says you're somebody other than a mentally anxious person or a crook or a pickpocket. So I would be happy to bring what I still have of that stuff to see what could be done. But if nobody's really interested in having that visibility or making that effort, but there's enough things around here where there's a preponderance of Lakewood residents. You know, when they do this stuff down at the motor, whatever they call the court down there, it's a collage of people from the area. And you go in and you put it out there, kind of put it on the envelope bit to speak out before it boils over. It's always nice to get something before it's all over the table.
Whatever you have, I'd be interested to take a peek at. I think I don't want to recreate a wheel if there's already work put into something. So
Well, especially, but somebody's got I was going out there like the Lone Ranger. I mean, that's cool. I got all kinds of personas, like a card, all kinds of stuff. But you gotta have something that legitimizes you, especially now when there's so many folks tapping you on the shoulder and saying, do you have something that I can have or that you can do for me?
that kind of brings up another thing. I don't know if we want to talk about it for the 2025 plan, but I'm genuinely interested. I've not participated in a Lakewood National Night Out before. And so I don't know what it looks like for, like, if you visited 45 locations, like, is it split amongst teams? And is there anybody on the Public Safety Advisory Committee that goes around with members of the city just to be visible and to show the partnership?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the way we normally do it from the city staff is that we partner up with each of the command staff. There's 7 of us. And we'll take a council member or city manager out and we kind of divide up the city geographically. And then some of the council members have specific places they want to go. And so we're just the chauffeur for them, really. But it's kind of a twofer because then when we show up, you know, they get to see the police department and then speak directly to the city council person or mayor, deputy mayor. The fire department goes, we give them the list, and so they go around too. And then besides us, we have regular police officers, bike team, and that kind of thing to go to all the events. But in terms of, like, to your points, yeah, I mean, that would be something No, I mean, you might have it right there. In
They
the
used to
back,
visit the neighborhood associations, right?
Yeah, they do.
It's anybody can put on, we had just neighborhood families that came together and sponsored the event, and it was potluck and food and socialization and it's the whole getting to know you,
Yeah.
right?
some of our apartment complexes, like I said, there were two, sponsored ones that are kind of big, so like American Lake is kind of a big one. They have a sponsor and they provide food and a bouncy house and some other stuff. They did, Harbor Stone, I think, did one at Active Park, kind of the same thing. And then some of them, yeah, are literally just, which is kind of the design, it's just a neighborhood cul-de-sac or something.
The Shag had it, you know, we went over to the Shag. But we're, you know, next year, we always look for people. And typically how we do it is we send our engine companies, medics out, they go because everybody wants to do fire trucks and medics and squad units. And then our command staff goes out with, you know, some of our council members and then just other staff members, and we just go and socialize. But we could always take more people with us too, and hopefully drive you around.
So your two, the police department and the fire department, you guys do your separate rounds, it's not a unified.
So we share the list, but yeah, it's separate, which kind of works out because it's kind of loose. And so sometimes we run into each other at the same time, same place, sometimes we don't, but sometimes, you know, but one event and they might have like 3 different police representatives and then the fire truck all at different times and.
It's that whole you're filtering through. UP does it completely different, where it's a team, they all travel together. And it's a one way to do it. I like this way because yesterday, oh, your fire engine was, oh, the cops are just here. Oh, I just saw the council. I just saw the mayor. And so their events are getting people filtering through at different times.
We're just too big. You couldn't hit, you
Yeah.
cannot hit every single one,
Yeah.
one person. You have to spread out. And they all have different times too. So we have to kind of, it's kind of a whole logistical exercise, you know, and trying to plan out like your geographic area, which time, and this one's gonna close at 4.
Yeah.
This one doesn't start till 4.
And then some have preferred times. Some start at 1 to 3. And then occasionally they say they go until 8 and then they're closed by 7.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that would be a great opinion for.
Food for thought, maybe for next year.
I used to go when they first started, a while ago. Like I say, they was just doing, visiting the neighborhood association meetings, and that was Summer State, so.
And go with people who've been before, so they take you to the ones with the good food.
Yeah, there's a secret.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, we have one every year. Last night we had one, and a ladder truck visited us last night. Yeah.
Going through grandkids, cannot say enough about with fire person staff. They were amazing.
Well, and that's certainly something, I'm gonna throw you guys under the bus a little bit. I mean, if you're holding a party, I don't know why you can have a little table over here with all the PSAC information on it and let all your guests look at it.
Well, I announced last night that we were part of the PSAC. There's the 3 of us here from the same
Oh,
neighborhood.
cool.
And told people what we do. And then,
See,
the fire department was there and they had their packet that they handed out. And so people were,
so you do that.
yeah, we do. We talk about it and we let people know if they had any issues. I told them, send me an email last night and I will bring them forward when we can.
Fabulous.
So we tell everybody that when we send emails anyway, if you have issues, just give us the information and we'll make sure it gets out. It gets to the right people anyway.
Back in 2808, I shamed the 3 state representatives of the government becoming 2 of them, one where I live and one where I used to live. And I told them I would drive and I would be nice to them in spite of my feeling about their politics. And I got them out to see the folks that allegedly vote for them, and they got to answer questions, but it also gave folks a chance to talk about, here's what I see in public safety, at all levels, just be rich. But sometimes if they want the votes or if they just like to be entertained by who's driving around.
So NNO is always the first Tuesday of August.
First Tuesday. of
So, and
August.
that is certainly something that if, we can keep discussing it, but I can help facilitate that because I'm here, Mike's here, who does all of the, if you guys are interested in writing along, so maybe you can just let me know. And we
And
can
make sure fire department.
Whoa, whoa,
We want to go to the fire
whoa.
department.
City
Okay,
staff.
so we need to. plan for visibility and be Good for like community interaction and visibility. I think that'd be great.
Perfect. I've got everything.
Okay, any other reports from board members or staff?
I have a quick question. Is there like I was about to say trestle board. Is there like like a yearly calendar of when these events are supposed to, so we can plan ahead
Yes,
without, yeah.
it's on the bottom of the work plan. I try to list them. Of course, this is the work plan, so it's what's approved. It is, I think I put it in there twice, actually. Sorry, maybe it was just my copy. But I try to list the big ones, and as we add them, I can certainly, like, I've never put N and O in there, but I can add that.
Roger, I mean, well, because I mean, for the years I was up. So I guess for 2025,
Yeah.
it'll be all, that way we can be like well ahead of the curve. Roger that.
And I will, because we're saying that, I noticed, when we're doing the work plan, I don't always know all of the dates that far in advance. We had listed November 27th, but the fallen officer food drive will actually be on December 5th this year. So I did realize I needed to change that for you guys.
Joanne, do you list all the city events with that, like the?
I've-
Just the.
No, I've only been trying to list the ones that, you guys want to be active in. So that's, I don't list them all, but when you said, oh, we want to do truck and tractor or right, so I tried to list the ones that PSAC is active in. So,
We do have a list of all the events we participate in too, and I'll happily share that with the committee.
Yeah.
Just for awareness of what's going on and around the city, because we have. I just looked at my calendar earlier, I don't really have a free Saturday until like December, between personal and other stuff, because there's, city also, hosts the, yes, the Taylor family, that's the first Saturday in September. Then Truck and Tractor Day is October 12th. And then we have our Fall Safety Day the next weekend over at 21. What's that?
that might have been what I was thinking of.
Yeah. And that's just another community event, and we'll give away free pumpkins. And both safety things, there was something else, and I think that's, and then you have we have the fallen officer food, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can share that, share with many of everything that we also participate in. That way the committee needs more community related events.
Roger, if you can't get involved in stuff, you don't know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the city
Yeah.
website has the city events, and they have the whole calendar up there, so you can.
Oh, yeah.
I limited this to just what you guys are involved in.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Throw it out there.
Can I ask a question about September? There's no meeting in September.
No, every other month.
Okay.
So the next one will be
Oh, yeah,
October.
I didn't know that 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, okay.
And then I have a question about the fallen officer food and blood drive. Has there been volunteers from PSAC to help you guys before? Or-
Yes, that is
Okay.
something that if you guys have the time, that's why I was trying to make sure, and in the past, you have, as you've been involved.
How do you stay on track if you meet every other month? And
Well, that's what I feel like is going on with this subcommittee thing and figuring out where we are with a process.
In defense, this was extremely admirable to have
Okay.
4 people suddenly missing from one meeting to the next, and I was not here last month, so that's my confusion. Sorry, last
That's a
meeting.
lot.
summertime, I usually have.
I was sick, I was out for surgery, so it wasn't a good time. But it did, that kind of left us with a gap, and then having so many people, we kind of left us a word gap. So this was a little abnormal. I don't feel like we're normally this.
And so subcommittees kind of work on their own individually and communicate.
Back to the next meeting. Yeah.
It's all right, I work better in chaos.
Within the myriad of rules about it, more than three of you talk at the same place and
Yeah.
it has a screening process. We still have these, state compliance, online and stuff to
Yeah,
study.
they got those with their welcome packets, the old month training. Yes.
I think I might have missed an email. I'm Camry.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
You
Yeah.
did
We
this.
did, we did.
I'm Julius Brown.
Yeah, but I am Chris Halls. I am a nurse. Yeah, you are, yes, but I'm, that all kind of nurse, so, you know, so. I don't live in Lakewood, but, yeah, and that's the thing, I work here, so I'm like, I spend a lot of time here, might as well.
He's thinking about moving here.
I am, we just talking about, I might sell my house and move out here, we'll see.
Yes, I live in Oakbrook. I've been back there about 25 years now. That was recent Citizens Academy, I was part of, I was the chairman of the Lakewood African American Police Advisory Committee for several years, so. It's just in that evolutionary step.
Okay. Is there a motion to?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
We do a lot of meetings.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
Are you?
Good, good, for a while.
Yeah.